we're on to Lauren Boebert then, who is lashing out at LGBTQ critics.
So this is not a surprise. Lauren Boebert came out in the wake of the shooting and on a radio station said, I have never had bad rhetoric towards anyone and their personal preference as an adult.
Gaslighting.
Yeah. So anywho, in the radio interview itself, she went on to say, what I've criticized is the sexualization of our children. And I've criticized men dressing up as caricatures of women. We don't need 6-year-old children putting dollar bills in the thongs of grown men shaking and twerking in front of children. That is child abuse. If there's an issue that comes up where the government, the public system is sexualizing our children, I'm going to absolutely stand up against that. Children can't get tattoos, but they can be chemically castrated. They could have fixed changes as a minor. It's gotten worse and worse. Colorado State Representative Brianna Titoni, who is trans, said about her rhetoric. So it's no surprise to me and a lot of other people that we're at this point where a violent attack is happening. It's happening in a place like Club Q because this has been brewing for a long time. And sadly, I've been using the language of we're waiting for something to happen to trigger a large-scale reaction. 5 people didn't do it. 5 people being killed did not trigger that reaction. How many LGBTQ plus persons is it going to take? Why can't we all just live our own lives? How many is it going to take for them to get up off of their apathetic asses and say enough is enough? We had a car drive in through a parade a few years ago. No, we had states writing laws that legalized that. We've now had multiple shootings in LGBTQ plus spaces, and nothing is happening except for the tightening down of LGBTQ plus spaces to make them more illegal.
And it's so interesting, isn't it? So ironic, considering that when we started this show, like one of the big things that kept coming up was this women's safe spaces. This issue of women's safe spaces and keeping trans folks out of them. And yet there's never been a shooting in a women's bathroom from a trans person. There isn't an equivalent of this. There's the paranoia and the fear that they're stoking about this. And what it's doing is none of it has come true at all on their side. And yet on our side, it's just brought all of this violence and hatred and actual acts of murder and violence.
Yeah.
And Carlson and these people say, but look, what we're saying has nothing to do with that. I mean, to have your head that far up there, it's just gaslighting. They know what effect what they're saying is having. They see their followership increase. They see the comments. They see all of it. They know the fervor that they're whipping up. It is a complete lie to say that what we're saying has no effect and to make the claim that they are ignorant to any effect it might have. Can I just make the comment that that puberty blockers are not, as Lauren Boebert is claiming here, a chemical castration. It causes a similar effect, but it is with regular monthly injections to maintain that and sustain that. It is not a permanent thing. It's not a chemical castration. It puts a similar effect, but it is not the same thing. It does not render you infertile or unable to, create those hormones. It just temporarily blocks them. Stop saying that puberty blockers are chemical castration.
They're not. They're not, because it is that dog whistle that they need.
Yes.
Because we're talking about a group of people who idolize and centralize the ability of procreation as the function of life. So essentially, they boil every human being down to their worth is determined by whether or not they can produce a child.
Mm-hmm.
That's their point.
That's why we have no good Social Security plans or, protections for the elderly in our community. We always see that there's just year after year they're struggling and there's nothing done for them. It's because they're not valued as humans because they can't procreate.
Well, more importantly than that, you have kids who have poor education. You have kids who have some of the worst healthcare in the world. And for a first world country, we have some of the lowest healthcare provided for children possible because no, we can't give healthcare, good healthcare away to kids. We got to make everybody pay for it. We don't have these rights that exist all around the world for children. Why? Because once they're born, they're in the world. All we got to do is keep them around to get pregnant.